Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a great Thursday wherever you are in the U.S. My name is Terry. This is Hope Valley Guy Podcast, and this is just a man's honest take on all things Wind Calls the Heart. And your approval or your opinion, we'll see. We'll see if it's there. We'll see what you think about it towards the end. Hope you're having a good week. Sorry it's been a couple weeks. Been down for the weather. Down by the weather, been sick, and just now making my way back, and I'm just about there. So, anyways, I appreciate every one of you being with me, sending me messages, finding out what's going on, and I hope to deliver tonight because I have a lot on my plate. I have a lot in my mind. I have a lot of things I want to say, and again, um, it's it's hey, Bob and Beth. The things that I say on this podcast are not. It's not about a popularity contest. It's I'm not looking for that. I've got some real, hopefully honest, straightforward, blunt things that I just want to get just about it. And listen, I'm not trying to be negative or nasty or anything like that. I just when you see something you like, and when you see something that's well written, you know it, right? And when you don't, you also know it. And so I'm going to talk about some of those things. And I'm not gonna be like Rosemary. I'm not gonna have a problem filling up an hour. So hope you'll be patient with me. And again, send me your thoughts. Listen, I'm not a man on an island. Send me your thoughts. I'm hoping to have some of the other guys on with us soon, and to get their opinions. And if you can hear me, Bob and Beth, okay. If this mic is coming through okay and you're able to hear me, can you send me a message, a quick text, and say, hey, we can hear you. If you don't mind, I appreciate it. If, awesome. Thank you very much. You're wonderful. I want to start out uh, with a couple things. We are, as of Saturday night, the show is not going to be on Sunday night because of the Super Bowl. Things are backed up. So it's going to be on Saturday night at 10 o'clock Eastern Time on Hallmark. And that episode is episode 6, and it marks halfway through this season. And I guess my question to you is, where are we at? Halfway through season 13, do we really feel any better than we did the beginning of the season? Do we feel like we have any more answers? Do we feel like we have anything? Do we feel that way? I don't. And but before I get into the show, um, I just want to, hey, Mandy, glad you're here. Before show, I want to go back. One of the other podcasters had an interview with Brian Bird, and uh, I don't know. The more things that I hear, sometimes the more I just honestly just shake my head. I don't know where those opinions that he carries is coming from. But he's a co-founder of the show and all this stuff. So I really don't know, but I'm going to talk about a couple of those things. And if you saw my comments, and Mandy from Stories of the Hardy, she helps me out every week with my podcast. So just want to give her credit where credit is due. She's a big help to me. She's always been a big positive influence on me doing this podcast. And listen, if this podcast never gets any bigger than it is, listen, I'm not out trying to, get thousands of people. If people wanted it that bad, then we'll have them, right? We'll have those people. and I can't do that myself. It'd be great if some of you can go. I appreciate you subscribing, and we're getting new subscribers on the YouTube page. And I know that's kind of a new thing for people, but tell others. I don't really have a whole lot pressing on Facebook about this. And I think me and Mandy are going to work on that and get that going. And that might be one way to grow. But growth with what? Growth with who? I mean, because not everybody's going to want to hear the truth. Not everybody's going to want to hear an honest take. Okay. And hopefully, hopefully I have them. But a couple of things that Brian Bird said, that really irked me. And I may spend, too much time on these tonight, but I'm going to get them off my chest. He just did this, a couple of weeks ago, so it's fresh. Okay, this is not, something that he did, months ago. This is a couple of weeks ago. I don't know why they continue to compare Nathan and Elizabeth to Elizabeth and Jack. I just don't get it. Okay, that was then. Nathan, Jack and Elizabeth was then 5 seasons. Okay, we are in season 13 now. Okay, they were 5 seasons. Listen, you've heard me say this. You hear other people say it. Those were great seasons. They were, except for season 2, maybe, but they were great shows. They were intimate. There were some of those things that were, some of the affection was almost sexy. The way Jack kissed Elizabeth was beautiful. The way she looked at him at times in their eyes was magnificent. I mean, they had a tremendous love story. Okay. And what we have to remember is those were actors that acted out the scripts they received. Okay. And Jack, Dan left, Jack was killed off. And here we are, 13 seasons later, and it wouldn't surprise. I said this on one of the other podcasts the other night. I sent in a message, and I said it wouldn't surprise me if Nathan proposes to Elizabeth with a Jack puppet. Mountie Jack, will you marry me? And it looks like Mountie Jack, because they won't let it go. They won't. Mountie Jack cannot stay buried without him being dug up. And it's unfair, in my opinion, okay, maybe a lot of yours, it's completely unfair to compare Nathan and Elizabeth to Jack and Elizabeth, or even Lucas and Elizabeth. Don't even get me started there. So it's not right. It's a different story. So if you're going to do that comparison, then what are you really comparing? The Surge? Is that really where we're still at after all these years? They're 2 men that wore the Surge, and so we have to compare their love stories? I don't think that's fair to this love story. I don't think it's the right thing. Listen, I'm not stupid nor ignorant. I understand that Jack Sr. is always going to be LJ now, even though it's little Jack. He goes by LJ, okay? He's always going to be his father, his natural birth father. Can't get around that. That's who his natural birth father is. But he never knew him, never seen him, never talked to him, besides at a grave and his picture. When or should I say, if Nathan and Elizabeth marry, if that happens, guess who's going to be LJ's dad? Nathan. Okay. And it's not fair to Nathan to continue to dig up Jack. It's not right. It's not fair to have Nathan walk into Elizabeth's house and the skeleton of Jack be sitting over in a chair with his feet propped up in a Mountie uniform. That's just not the right. It's not good writing. Listen, all of us have memories of people we've lost. Okay, I just yesterday that was my wife's being gone. Hard day for me. Very difficult day. I understand. I understand loss and grief and all those things. But you know what? In this show, these aren't real, and it's not right for them to say, well, Jack and Elizabeth waited 5 years, and so Nathan and Elizabeth, and the way we're writing them in their chaste relationship, that wait and all this garbage, because it's absolute garbage. Okay, I'm just going to tell you point blank, it's garbage. If Brian Bird was sitting in front, and I wish he was, I would not hesitate. I try to be polite about it, but I look at him and say, Brian, that's garbage. Okay, that's absolutely ridiculous, because all you're doing is dragging out a show because you don't have the talent on board to write about stories about the family. See, because all I keep hearing, folks, is, oh, this is a family show. This is a family show. This is a family show. Okay? They are not a family, folks. Okay? I'll be honest, I've got some of the women on Instagram, and of course, I'm one of the minority being a man, but oh, they're a great family. And I said, they're not a family. In fact, I'll talk about this here in a minute. Episode 4 and 5 prove they're really not a family. They're not together. And it's almost looking like more and more right now, I'm getting ahead of myself, that they're less together than they've ever been. Than they've been in a long time anyways. Let me go back, finish Brian's statements. So Brian talked about that. Comparing Nathan and Elizabeth to Jack and Elizabeth, and I was fuming over that. I think that's just once again just dumping on Nathan. And you know what? Over the years, there has been probably no character on this show that's taking a greater beating than Nathan has. Just a fact. Even Henry, with all of Henry's problems and betrayals and his arc of redemption and all this stuff, Nathan is just taken from the producers and the writers and everybody else. They've just given it to him. Okay, and I just don't think that. I just don't think it's good writing. It's good producing. It's good television. See, it's rather obvious. I was thinking about this today. It's rather obvious that I don't know anything about television. And it's rather obvious that they don't want my opinion about television. And to be real honest with you, I'm not convinced they want any of the Hardys' opinion on television in this show, because they've lost touch. They're not in touch with the fans. The Aaron says they were, and we're going to give them what they want. Getting a little ahead of myself again. So that was the first thing that Brian Bird said. And listen, what definition of chaste relationship? Let me read you what the definition of a chaste relationship is. A chaste relationship involves a commitment to abstain from sexual activity, prioritizing emotional and spiritual intimacy over physical lust-driven conversations. Lust-driven, and it also involves deep conversations. Okay, well, What about last year when they did the fever dreams? I had a whole episode on it, and those were from two people that had wants and desires. Okay, and I heard. Listen, I because I'm a man of faith. I try to keep my points here, Christian. But when they were having those fever dreams, and I heard some of these women say things, I'm just like, you're the perfect definition of a prude. Okay, if two people are deeply attracted to each other, okay, physically, okay, what's wrong with it? I don't think they went overboard on those dreams at all. I think they kept them very clean, and they showed really what they want. Now, what's interesting now is we go from that to this. Got to back up because I'm going to get ahead of myself. Brian Bird calling this relationship chase feels like code for dull. Since when did chase mean no tension, no heat, no payoff kisses, no intimacy at all? Jack and Elizabeth were intimate. I mean, as far as kissing and whatnot, there was, again, I mentioned a couple of scenes I thought them sitting out by the campfire when they took the kids out camping. Remember Jack and Elizabeth, and they were sitting out there after the kids were asleep, and those kisses, those are the real deal. When Elizabeth is redoing her row house and Jack comes in and kind of corners her, you can tell there's some want and desire there. Right after the mine accident, and they come back to, Abigail's, and she says to him, "I'm not interested in talking," and they start basically making out on television. I bet there wasn't one person that complained about any of those scenes. Not one person. I remember the walk through town when Jack is going to go with the preacher for the gold, and he kind of corners her in town and kisses her. I bet there wasn't one person griping about those scenes. Okay, they were attracted to each other, and I don't know, they showed it. God forbid that. I don't think that's bad, sinful. I don't think it's, it could lead to things that you shouldn't be doing before marriage. But listen, so Jack had his chapter in this show. It's 5 seasons. Jack had his voice. Okay, with Charlotte Thornton coming, there's going to be more Jack talk. Jack talk. There's going to be more. There's going to be a gravesite conversation. There's going to be some guilt being laid